two, one. Wow, that one held really long. So, welcome back, everybody, to our weekly show here, Medicine from Our Hands, with your hosts, Dr. Charlie and.
Blah, 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 blossom. Hi, beautiful people.
Yeah, so welcome back, everybody, here for another weekly episode of our podcast. Where we want to probably start up with kind of some things coming up, and also kind of some things that happened this week before we kind of get into the show. But we're really excited to also be bringing you guys a cooking series.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, cooking.
So this cooking series will be with your Blossom here, sharing kind of her experience from Paris.
Paris.
Where she'll be cooking this week. What are we cooking? We're cooking some.
Oui, baguette, some focaccia. We're going to make a margarita pizza focaccia. So it's going to have goat cheese and fresh herbs like rosemary, thyme. We're going to do some caramelized onions, cherry tomatoes, roasted garlic. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. So after we're recording it, we're actually going to have an opportunity for people to come by and taste some of our food. So please come by. It's a free event. Probably going to be like a donation base for us, but really trying to bring people together and to eat some of the food that we're cooking. So come by this Sunday, September 14th at Radiant Vita Spa, one of our favorite places. We had an amazing 1-year celebration with this beautiful Vita Spa, and Laura has been graciously hosting us and, really an advocate for all the alternative medicine we've been doing. So love kind of what she's been doing and supporting her in her endeavors.
Yes, we love you, Laura. Thank you so much for the space and the spa and all the healing that comes out. I'm really excited for this food series because it's the common bond, breaking bread. It's biblical, it's ancient, it's spiritual, it's deep, and it's very beautiful and nourishing. Then we get the energy from the food. So I can't wait.
Yeah, and it's still back in our theme of medicine from our hands.
From
and
our
this time we'll
hands.
be cooking with our
With our
hands and making
hands.
medicines
Yes.
as we eat it. So beautiful. And then after that, I'll have a sound bath in Spring, so Aura. So come by for a sound bath up in Spring, Texas.
Yes.
Do you have any other things coming up this week?
Maybe I do. Maybe. Saturday, if you're in Houston, Texas, I want to see you there at the Interchange. It's going to be from 6 to 9, and it is called Rhythm of Remembrance.
Ooh, beautiful. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about what it is?
I would love to. Can we take a deep breath together first?
Yes.
This is a dream child that I've been co-creating with 4 beautiful facilitators. Myself, David, Mish, and Janaki have come together to create a container where we are remembering, we're dancing, we're dreaming, we're breathing together. And I have just seen nothing but big moves of love, of energy of God when we all come together and we heal and we remember and we forget what no longer serves us and we remember what's so good and nourishing for our hearts and bodies. And I'm so excited. This one's going to be super special and big. And if you're available, come see us.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm excited. I'll actually be there too.
Yes.
So I'm really excited. We'll be also checking out the Baha'i space.
Yes.
And that's going to be an amazing space we're going to check out, and hopefully have events there in the future.
Yes. And just more sound healing, more meditations, more breath. It's what's needed. And I'm really excited to embark on all of these projects. Feels really good.
Yeah. And you can see kind of theme for all these is really collaboration. It is time for us to collaborate as people, as humans, to really kind of evolve us to the next phase. So really excited to see all these beautiful collaborations together.
Me too.
Yes. Yeah, anything else? I think we're good for this week.
Good for this week.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. Actually, I also wanted to share, we had an amazing time 2 weeks ago for the Labor Day weekend, where we went camping at 5D Ranch.
Come on, we're camping.
Yeah, we're camping. I hope you like camping too. It's a beautiful song that came out with Meech and all the people, all the rhythm of remembrance, plus more, you know. And it was a beautiful time where we really all got to connect more deeply with nature. I mean, I felt like we were all kind of healing each other.
We were.
Right?
We are.
Exactly.
We do.
Always.
From our hands.
Exactly.
The medicine that went forth, the sunlight, the water, the fresh pine tree needles.
The beauty berries.
The beauty berries right next to my tent. Like the food.
Sage. There was sage everywhere.
Texas sage.
Yeah. Wow. So just the beautiful
drum
space.
circles.
Oh, that's right. We're
cacao.
doing drum circles, cacao.
Pachamama.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful. It was a beautiful space that we all had an opportunity to dream about a possible festival there for us in the next year, where we can host a really awesome space with the nature. You know, I think right now it's a really good time for us to kind of rewild ourselves, right? Yeah.
Be untamed.
Be untamed. Be back to
Unleash.
nature. Yes, exactly.
Unleash the beast.
I feel like that's true freedom, right?
Freedom.
Freedom,
let 'em
sovereignty.
be them.
Yeah.
Come on. I know why the cage bird sings, you know?
Exactly.
It's freedom.
And so that was a beautiful time for us. And, you know, we feel very recharged right now, too.
Yeah, full of life and full of love. And it's just, I want to go camping tomorrow.
Yes. And this was your first time.
It was my first time camping. Can you imagine at 28?
You did great. You did
Thank
great.
you. So did you.
Thank
You're a
you.
natural at it.
I love camping.
I know. The
I'd spend
cane
most of
juice.
my-
Oh gosh. Then he bought us fresh cane juice, and we broke our fast one morning with sardines and Mediterranean
bread.
oil
So
and
good.
baguettes and hummus. Unreal.
Yeah,
And
it was
tea.
such an amazing time. And tea,
We had
yes.
so much tea.
Yeah,
Oh.
and it was just great to see also so many people come. Some people were coming from Austin, some
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah.
You know, so that was really nice that people were coming from all over the place.
Yeah, and actually last night, into the middle of the night, Mish led a drum circle, primitive jam, the first one in Houston, and some people that were camping were there, and it was so powerful. We didn't leave till early in the morning because we just wanted to sit by the bonfire and heal. The drumming and music was magical. Nothing short of just power, and we're planning more camping, so I'm excited.
Yes, exactly. Oh, so excited.
So good.
Yeah. So with that said, let's kind of go right into it. I think today's topic, it's really close to my heart, but also the reason we're all here. I mean, I think I've been able to kind of test this podcast out with people, and I had so much good feedback. And really, everyone's kind of saying, "Hey, it's about time someone talks about all these conversations," because I think we're all having these back alley conversations about medicine, you know, and everybody just feels like, you know, talking about real medicine is like a sin
Taboo.
today, right? Yeah,
Taboo.
it's almost like, oh, you take herbs for medicine? Like, isn't that like some dirty trick that like you should be like arrested for or something?
Or like it doesn't work. It's like,
Exactly. Does it work?
what? It was grown so it can work, so it does, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So I love for us to kind of share deeper a perspective on Western medicine in general, just medicines
Sure.
and what we experience and why we even had to go through this journey of what I call indigenous and original medicines. Because I feel like, you know, it's been this long trend of just ignoring, dissing, and gaslighting original medicine as if like, we were uncivilized when we had these medicines. And today, because of modern science, we think we are much more advanced in our medicine. Yet, ironically, we have way more made up diseases than we have back in the days.
You know, the one that strikes me when you say that, you called it lack of
Nature deficit disorder.
Say it again.
Yes, nature deficit disorder. That's why we had to go to camping to get some medicine. Yeah, I actually I'm making nature prescriptions now. Yeah, I'm writing. We're building prescription pads.
What?
Yeah, so me and a group of friends, Cultivating Self is the nonprofit organization I'm part of, and we're all about supporting the healthcare workers.
Power.
Exactly. Let's not burn out the healthcare workers, but how do we support the healthcare workers? And I think what we've realized is nature deficit disorder is a real thing. In these hospitals, ironically, in being so clean and so anesthetic and sterile, we ironically have no spirit and no, what I call nature patterns, right? I think nature patterns have been very helpful in understanding the balancing of patterns within our bodies, right?
Yes.
And so today, without those patterns, you're lost because you don't have anything to be inspired by, right?
To ground, like earth. And actually, in the middle of camping, I had so many in and out of body experiences. My first night, ants are crawling in my tent. The next day, I lost my phone. I found my phone. Kind of mantra that came up was lose your phone, find your soul. And that's what happened.
So good.
Lose your phone, find your soul.
Yes.
But the reason why I say this is, I lost my train of thought. You said something and it was pertaining to camping. Can you just go back for a second?
We're talking about nature deficit disorders and nature prescriptions.
Yes.
And how Cultivating Self, we're making prescription pads because it's really important to actually give people connection to nature.
Yes. I guess what I'm saying is the prescription for nature is perfect, but it's not without getting through something to like learn how to deal with nature because we're so used to four walls and a roof. But my friend and I, so something else, a symptom, I don't know if it's a symptom, but I was like, yes, we're swimming in the water and it's amazing, but I need a shower. I need to be clean. And there's a moment I walked into like the teepee and I was just like, I need a shower. And you guys were like, why? And I was like, because I need to. And I was like, it's because I'm American. I say that to say when my friend and I were driving to the showers, mind you, not walking, a friend of ours were driving back and he's a Spanish-speaking person, and so is my friend. So in Spanish, he said to my friend, where are you going? And she said, we're going to go shower. And he said, there's sacred in the yuck. And I thought, that's what I needed to hear on the way to the shower. Like, it's not dirty. So when hospitals are so sterile, it's like, it's not about dirty or clean. It's about earth.
Yeah.
And earth has such a bad rap for dirty. Like, you better not put your shoes or your socks on and run outside and track mud in the house. Or like, earth is not dirty, it's clean and it's what grows things. And so anyways, I was thinking of your prescription of being in nature, but like people have to understand like it's adjustment.
Yes.
Especially if you're used to, because when you said making prescriptions for nature, I was literally thinking, what kind of pill would it look like and how would it fit in the bottle? So,
prescription pads,
of course,
right? And so I could let them people. It's really, it is different levels, right? The idea is actually some people have not taken a walk out in nature, right?
Yes.
So what if I can just offer, hey, twice a week, walk out in nature, especially when you get those headaches. Right? Because what we're trying to do is really give people the power back to find the medicine that works for them during a time of a problem. When they're having an episode, right? Most of the time people come to us like, hey, I've had 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Right now I don't have an episode. So yeah, I can kind of treat them and they'll feel better. But I'm not there when they're having the psychotic breakdown of like, they can't find something and they're freaking out.
Sure.
At that moment, it's when you go walk outside.
And
then go take a walk and then come back in and maybe you'll find it, right? Because at that moment, you're so upset. You're not really looking for something. You're just mad and upset that you don't have that thing. So you're perpetuating that you don't have that thing, right? You're not even saying, no, I found that thing.
You get less of it. Like,
Exactly.
You get less of even what you want.
Right, right. And so, it's really important to be able to have your own prescriptions on how to heal rather than constantly going, hey, doctor,
General
I'm very
medicine.
angry right now. What do I do? And you're
Yeah.
like, take a breath, right?
And what I love about how you treat your patients, clients, I don't know, because it's like, do you heal them? They heal themselves. However you describe it. What I love about your perspective and clarity and perception of it is medicine is individualized.
Yes. Yes.
I'll say it again. Medicine is individualized. And it's almost as if medicine, as far as pharmaceutical, Western medicine goes, the sickness is in what is prescribed because it's too general and it's not efficient and pointed. And then it's overdone. You finish the, 60 capsules or however. You still need more. You feel depleted. You're actually depleted because your body has lost it and you're relying on another thing to keep going. But I love your perspective of what is medicine for you may not be the same for me. What you're, and the place I'm working with, it's called Power of CMOS. And if you're in Houston, come see me. It's on Antoine and 34th Street. But when you walk in, there's herbal bitters, teas, skincare things, CMOS, of course, herbal drinks. And I was telling someone that had come in and they were having a meeting there, but she was like, how do you know how to sell or do it so well? And I said, because anyone who walks in here, they don't need everything in the store. So if you have high hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, chronic pain, fatigue, fibroids, cysts, whatever it is, then I can direct you and point you to exactly what tonics, herbs, or bitters can help you. But how dare I have someone come in, expect or take their money, and then be like, well, you need this and this and this and this. Nah, that's not true and real. And I wish doctors had more of this perspective because they would actually do what they set out to do and heal more people appropriately at large scales, and it would be more sustainable.
Yeah, and that's kind of the major issues with what we're seeing, just what I call the westernized world, is the simplification of everything, just oversimplification of everything. And because of that, it takes away the individuality, which is where I feel like, ironically, America was all about individuality, right? Because I come from an Eastern culture where we don't have individuality, we have collective individuality, right? You're part of the family, so you just do things for the family, not for yourself, right? And then you come here to the States and it's like me, 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 right? Ironically, though, you're me in a bigger part of what are you? Are you Asian? Are you a man? Are you this? Are you that? Because the drugs that I'm going to give you has to fit those criteria.
Exactly.
Right? And it's ironic that today's doctors all say that 90% of the time these drugs work, but for you, it seems like you're the 10% that it doesn't work with. And how come that 10% is everybody that shows up in your clinic is the 10% that doesn't work, right? And that's where we have a problem, right?
Right.
Suddenly everybody's is an exception
anomaly?
to the rule,
Right, the
and
anomaly.
that's where you run into the post-COVID stuff, and then you run into all these diseases that you come up with that are based on old concepts. It's just really silly, right?
Yeah.
And so really what we're having a deeper conversation is individualized medicine because individualized people, individualized constitutions.
And living.
And even then I'll go even deeper. Actually, you today is different from you yesterday and 2 weeks ago.
And something I heard recently in a circle was we need to start eating what our ancestors ate. We need to start working and doing similar labor and exercise as our ancestors. Why? Coinciding with our blood type, past. It's like you have to go to the past to heal the future, or the symptoms of the past are what is showing up now and what you have to transmute. So I don't feel like that perspective is shown or given enough.
Yeah, but ironically, it's happening. So this is what's going on with the whole yogification.
What?
The yogification is
Oh, yoga.
actually yoga, right? Everyone loves yoga. Ironically, what you guys are doing is bringing the past back into the modern day from actual movement practices that really the farmers and the people who worked in the everyday business, right, were doing because they were the ones who were hurting. The rich people were not having issues back in the days,
Right.
right? And so it was like the peasants and the farmers, the people who worked in the fields, the dark colored people who were actually having problems. And so in these yoga, in these Tai Chi, Qigong meditations, all these meditation movements were a way for us to heal ourselves, right? And so ironically now today we're seeing kind of this resurgence of that medicine, but you're not seeing it in the people who are doing the work. You're seeing it now in the, people who want nice bodies, who don't want to have a lot of sciatica problems because we are very sedentary, a lot of back problems, where a lot of these yoga poses were good hip openers, right? So a lot of these practices are actually, very indigenous to our culture, right? Yet today, here we are again oversimplifying that, oh, these movements are just movements. That has nothing to do with who you worship. Well, we never worshiped anything when we did these. We worship the ground we practice these movements on. We worship the air we breathe during these movements. We worship the fire that we got during these movements, or the coolness of a yin stretch, of a yoga stretch, right? And those were the things we were worshiping. So it's really silly that, ironically, today, so many people will like disregard the spiritual aspect of our meditations and just look at the physical benefits of it. And then this is why you also see that those physical benefits are like 50%. People aren't seeing the full effects. It's because they're not bringing the spirituality. They, again, simplified our medicines to work for them today. And that's why we're running into, the oversimplification, and why now all these indigenous people are saying, hey, you've been taking our practices out of context. And now you're kind of like, using it to also gatekeep our own people, right? So what's really interesting is even in Chinese medicine, in acupuncture, dry needling is the most common thing that chiropractors and a lot of massage people are doing, because it's now addressing the muscle and the pain and the stagnation in the muscle layer. And so they call it dry needling, but they don't believe in acupuncture because they don't believe that needles can in the hands can heal the heart, right? And yet today we have the discovery of fascia. I say discovery because modern science didn't have evidence of fascia till now, right? Or they didn't call it anything. They used to say, oh, it's the wrapper of the muscle. Today, this wrapper is a very complicated liquid crystal of basically pain and stagnation in the body, right? And so now they're saying, oh, good, like fascia explains all these knots and all these problems. And then we're like, yeah, that's our meridian highway that we called it, but you guys just didn't believe that we had one of these. And so because you had no evidence to prove our practices, you considered our practices pseudoscience. And this is why the frustration of modern science, right, or evidence-based practice. I think evidence-based practice is ironically 10 times removed from the actual practice of spirituality, because our bodies are actually matching our thoughts. And we see this when we talk about quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement, but deeper we talk about the memory of water.
Right.
And Masaru Emoto talked about how, putting your thoughts into water, they say love and hate, the love crystals in the water is actually remembering the love vibration that you gave it. And we are 80% water. That means that our bodies are remembering the thoughts that we are creating, right? And then you take that deeper, fascia is a liquid water crystal. So then that water we talked about, that 80% water that stores your quantum thoughts, is stored in the fascia layer. So now you start putting, acupuncture needles are metal, right? And they're metal on purpose because they are working with the electrons, which we call qi in Chinese medicine, electricity, right? Qi, energy, that's flowing through the fascia layer, this highway of energy. And today, we have all this evidence to prove what the ancients were doing back in the days already, right? Because you didn't understand their language, you decided it didn't make sense. Yet today, you literally have proven that the ancients knew exactly what they were talking about, and now you have evidence that they were already doing things that we are now discovering. So again, evidence-based practice is actually based on showing evidence of spirit working. So that if you're always, oh wait, are these not working?
Oh no.
So, anyways,
I wanted a sound effect.
we're trying to get sound
Bling,
effects.
bling. There it is. I have 2 things to say.
Yes.
Ready? Technology.
Technology.
And the other thing. Oh,
Is your voice a little funky?
hello.
Are you back?
Am I back?
Okay, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Technology. Okay.
What's going on? Oh, let me
Turn off these effects. Hello, we're back. Oh, it's funny. We accidentally got a little FX in our voices. That was fun.
That was cool. And the second thing I have to say is that was beautifully said, Charlie. The other day we were talking about clearing the house and doing vocal warm-ups and exercises, and you were talking about collecting saliva after your how would you say it?
Yeah, so
Or can you talk us through the whole smiling?
Yeah, so
And
there's
healing
there's
on
a,
the inside.
There's a qigong meditation called smiling into the organs. Really beautiful. And so what you're doing is, again, using water elements to create a quantum fluid that you're going to control and work with that fluid. And so if you were to actually put your lips around your
tongue.
teeth, your tongue around your teeth, and you go in circle, you're creating saliva. And once you create enough saliva, what you want to do is smile into the saliva, right? As if the saliva is now storing your smiles, your love, what I call the Patronus charm into the saliva, right? And then once you have the saliva filled with these beautiful, loving smiles and Patronus of love inside of your mouth, what you want to do is swallow it. And then you imagine that the saliva is now hitting all of your organs. It's smiling with the heart. Oh, thank you, heart, for beating so hard and showing me what my heart has to offer. Thank you, lungs, for allowing me to take the breath from the air and bring oxygen into my body. Thank you to the liver for filtering my blood. Thank you to the digestion of stomach and spleen that is digesting and giving me energy for life. Thank you to my kidneys for filtering water and giving me the beautiful energy, adrenal energy to continue living my life, and to the bladder that is filtering the good water from the bad water so that I can feel amazing and have all these beautiful water, lymphatic fluids all over my body, right? And so in that meditation, what you're doing is you're smiling into your organs. Again, attention moves energy, right? And so if you're putting attention to these organs, you are feeding your organs with energy. And it's a very powerful practice, because what happens is in our medicine, we believe that once your organs are in balance, just like in nature, then your physical body actually starts to regenerate very quickly.
Wow.
Right? And this is actually why most of our organs are imbalanced, and that's why we get these symptoms of sickness, right? Dis-ease.
You wouldn't say unbalanced, imbalance.
Imbalance. Yeah.
And that was so beautiful. But what I hear deeper is that it's a prayer.
Yeah, exactly.
And prayer is medicine. And I realized that from babies, they're always smiling because they're smiling into their spit, and like they can't help it. They're drooling it. And I don't know where we get lost in the prayerfulness, but that was so beautiful. I did them and I feel better.
Yeah.
How about that?
Exactly.
Thank you.
So Qigong is a practice of what's called internal alchemy, where you're actually using the alchemy of quantum mechanics, right? Thoughts and processes to actually spiritualize and embody the spirit within the body. Because we're so focused on the outward inputs, right? I feel cold, I feel hot, I feel something touching me. But can you feel the blood flowing inside of your veins? Can you feel the energy?
Can you hear it?
Can you hear it? Can you smell it? Can you feel it? Right? Can you taste it? Can you see where the heart is pumping blood? You know, can you feel it slowing down? Can you feel it speeding up?
And you know what's so interesting? Per certain dis-eases is in the body. And I say like it's dis-ease. Sure, it's disease. But in certain ones, for example, high blood pressure, it's that people go to the doctor, either the doctor's seeing it in your labs or you're feeling like, stressed out. It's all about the human maybe partaking in activities that is bringing this stress, this heartbeat, this rise, but it's not void of the human making that decision and then not knowing how to treat it. I think that's where people go to doctors and outsource it. Yes, you're living in your body. You should know exactly how it's functioning. But if you don't and you're doing, I don't even want to say bad, what is bad and good, but things that aren't always
Constructive.
pointed to regenerating your
Yeah.
organs, I realized that people must be able to hear, feel, and sense high blood pressure. So I say this to say, at Power CMOS, oh man, all walks of life, all types of people, ages, babies, all of it. And yesterday I had this privilege of one of our videos went viral for the African bedroom bully drink. And so just a big Nigerian and African community have been coming into the store. And there was about, I'll say elders, just like elder to me, but not old, men in their 50s. And can I tell you the magic that I witnessed as just like seeing these 5 men gather? It was men talking about bitters and why this helps and dealing with the body. And then one of the guys who came in was like, that's why I practice Tai Chi. And he looked like 35, 40. He was 54. And he was like, I do this Tai Chi and this. And something he gave, I'll demonstrate it. But what he was saying is, if you have high blood pressure, my friend, you're not hitting and moving parts of your body that can help. And he's like, you do this one 10 times. Both sides. And then they went into actually like the movements and raising your hands and pushing it down 50 times and then doing left to right and massaging the kidneys. And it was just so beautiful to see men talking about something, calisthenics, the movement, and how they're maintaining their bodies or how they're not. Because there were some men in the circle that were gathering that was just like, this is how you take care of your body. And it was just so cool to see like ancient medicine of wisdom, of yoga, people just serendipitously gathering, talking about health and teaching one another. It was just really cool to witness. But I would like to hear your thoughts because I know you practice and you have your own modalities of moving your own body.
Yeah. So what he was actually showing is we have meridians. He was probably talking about the heart meridian
Okay.
and pericardium. So we have these heart, pericardium, and small intestine. There's a lot of this pericardium, but a lot of the cardiovascular is actually around here. So what he's hitting here is the lung and the heart meridian and pericardium. So he's hitting the cardiovascular right here. A lot of times things get stagnated here, right? Because when you look here, when we're like crunch, this gets crunched, right? That's
And
why,
open is open.
how many times have we done this in yoga, right?
Yeah,
This yoga
heart
pose
opening.
here, right? Even in Tai Chi, right? There's the take a deep breath and open up your chest, right? So a lot of times we open up we open up the channels here, right? So what that does is allow for the cardiovascular to have much more room space, right? So if you were to, let's say, look at like a highway system, and let's say we take Houston, for example, right? So the 610 gets full, that means Highway 8 gets full next, right? And then 99 gets less full, but everything is in the center, okay? And so what happens is when you have high blood pressure, what happens is, imagine if you cut the 8, and now no one can go in the 8, that means the 610 is packed. That's going to show up as heart, like very, intense heart rate because so much blood is just trying to work in the 610.
Small.
But if you go, hey, Highway 8 is now open. Let's say the tollway is now free. How many people would leave 610 and go to Highway 8 and cause traffic to
Flow.
be a lot less
Less.
crazy and intense in the 610, right? That means you will reduce the blood flow, lowering your heart rate needs to push that blood through. And then you open up the 99 and suddenly now your whole body in doing movement, because if you're like doing this, you're closing your cardiovascular. But if you're walking around and
Like
allowing
this.
blood to walk everywhere, your heart rate is only going to lower because the heart rate needs to send blood everywhere.
Where?
But if it has places to go, it's not that hard to
Yeah.
push. But if it doesn't have anywhere to go, it's pushing harder and harder to get that blood through because it's just stuck in traffic.
Restriction of arteries, and that's why high
Exactly.
cholesterol is so
Yes, because
prevalent and
cholesterol causes blockages, stagnation, keeping blood from going to the right places. So why in general movement is so important to reach number one problem is cardiovascular in this country and possibly in many countries is because while sitting down on the computer doing nothing but like staring at the computer, and so you're thinking and all your blood is here now. And probably on your fingers,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's barely in your
Extremities,
arms. It's not in your legs.
No.
And then you get up and so you get lightheaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the blood went to your feet, and it doesn't know what to do with the head, and so the head gets dizzy.
And this is my remedy for it. I started doing this when I was in Paris because Paris is a beautiful city, predominantly walking, bicycling, and the metro. But I walked because I didn't have a car, and I was grateful for that. But in that experience, I had to wake up, get down the stairs, out of my place, maybe walk 5-6 minutes to go to a store to buy water, to then come back if I just wanted water. So because I was doing so many steps, I'd probably 15 to 20,000 any given day. Easy, especially running around the studio. I say this to say the one thing that could combat it, do you know what it was? What would I do with my body at night?
Water.
Good for you. No, but I would drain my legs.
Mm-hmm.
Headboard, whatever, as low as a minute to 5 minutes and then 15 minutes. Sometimes I'd fall asleep with it. But what it did was regenerate my heart and my brain and like have more blood flow in my hands. Because as a chef, like I was driving in the kitchen. It's quick. And I guess that's yoga in itself. And for a long time, my exercise was just my work. But I want to say because we do so much horizontal laying, so much sitting, so much stagnation of that. There's not but when we were hunting and gathering and camping outside, it almost like we had to choose meditation and be still because we had so much movement. Because that's been taken out, something I've seen in my own body that has helped with something that has run in my family and like my mother has is varicose veins. So I realized like her having that, she never would drain her legs. But there's so much down prana energy down to the earth, which is good, ground. But then you have to, however you find it, maybe it's a hammock, maybe it's arrow, like yoga, but hang from trees and like reverse the energy so your body can recirculate the blood that may be stagnant. And it's really changed my life.
Yeah, so that's again that deeper conversation of like massage is very much needed in our culture. Massage is also because we're not doing our own self massage. We're not also caring for ourselves. We're not doing the stretches, right? So yeah, because what you're doing is, for you, at least as chef, right? You have to stand all day too.
Yes.
So anytime you stand all day, what you're doing is, and this is why, like in general, overtime usage, like routines, causes problems, right?
Yeah.
In Chinese medicine, we say like too much sitting causes this, too much standing causes that. And we always talk about how too much of anything causes any diseases. And so moderation, that's why we talk about now is like every hour, take a 5-minute break, walk around, take a breath, right? So that you can break the monotony that your blood isn't going somewhere. And so what's happened is just we have bad cardiovascular, yet ironically, here we are talking about breath work. People don't realize the depth of breath work. I think people think that, breath work, we're just breathing to relax and to come. It's a cardiovascular pulmonary system. Pulmonary cardiovascular system, okay? The lungs and the heart are together. That means that breath work is for the heart. period. That means that if you really wanted to address heart rate, you would really address breath work first.
Pause. Let's breathe.
Yeah. And this simple exercise, right? You can see even just my voice lowers a little bit,
Wow.
right? I'm a little bit more calm and chill, even just the voice. It's because we ironically, if you pay attention to like how when you're in stress, you'll notice you don't breathe. Certain
I
people
know.
hold their breath.
Me. It was
Yes.
me as a chef. Can you imagine for, I would say closer to 8 of the years, maybe, if I'm being realistic, 8 or 9 of the years I was a chef working in professional kitchens, big responsibility, 600 covers a night, for example. It was the most challenging thing for me to breathe. 1, I wasn't around chefs or people that were cognizant of it. 2, they were holding their breath. 3, we're all stressed. 4, it's like, now, they don't like this now. And where's the time for breathing? So I actually got through the industry holding my breath, but it led to more problems, severe sleep deprivation, depression, anxiety, anxiousness, worry, just all of it. And I didn't realize I was looking for my breath. I couldn't believe I was doing the work I was doing without breathing. Like, that doesn't make sense. And of course, there's breaths in between, right? But breath work has changed my life. And that's why I'm always trying to breathe with people and taking pauses, because it helps my heart.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why, to me, what's the most important medicine that I want to help and teach everybody, it's not the medicine that like is acupuncture or movement. It's really the 4 elements. Why have we forgotten elementary lessons like this?
Because they take us out of the element, guess what, from the start.
Even just that word, did you take me out of my element?
Now, come on. Yo, I used to have an Element, the car, and I'm always like, I'm in my element. Yeah, but it's elementally they take us out. And you know why? Because there's power there.
Yes.
If women took control of the blood that leaves their body and didn't see it as this disgusting discharge or something otherworldly, or like only it's present because a baby isn't present, we would take over, period. Women, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Period.
Yes. I love it here. So I say that to say men the same, retention, all the things. The point is they took us out of elements to take us out of the elements of our bodies so we could just be whatever and do whatever for whatever. But there's true power and resonance and empowerment. We can empower one another by you waking up and me waking up and seeing each other do this. But that's why camping was so powerful and influential to me in my life, because I was like, I need so much less to feel so much more. And this healing and natural high and medicine is little or close to free. And that's freedom. Man, sign me up. Get me into that.
Yeah. And so this is why
Prescribe me my RX.
Exactly.
Doc, come on.
And so a lot of times people are like, how do you know what affinity you have? Elements, which element you have? Like, are certain people have stronger affinities? Yes, all of it, right? And so I use personally astrology.
Yes.
And astrology being a very common things that our ancestors used to use, whether we're Chinese, Greeks, Mayan, the OG civilizations of our culture brought astrology straight, right? And they called it from the heavens. At the time, we didn't call it space, we didn't call it sky, we called it the heavens, right? And even in Chinese medicine, we call it heaven, man, and earth, right? These 3 layers. And we are the middle layer, the child between heaven and earth.
Wow.
Right? And so that was our power.
Yeah.
And so we had to learn to remember the powers that heaven and earth gave us. And so this is kind of this. So I'm gonna address something really important that I really want to um, to tell everyone, because I think this is my greatest analysis. I've been in the wellness space, alternative space for a while. Even as an acupuncturist, we're not considered the full-on doctors, and so we don't fit in Western medicine very well. And so we're considered to be in the wellness space, right, or alternative medicine, right? And so being in this space now, I find that there's a lot of women, and I was like, hold on, let me kind of, as a Virgo, analyze this pattern that's happening, right? So this is what is my greatest, analysis about medicine. Western medicine is a very masculine idea of fixing. Fixing, the word fixing. They love the word fixing because they don't understand the word regeneration. And so what happens in Western medicine is you saw an exodus of women nurses, women doctors who realized they weren't getting better in the masculine way of healing, of fixing, by removing things, adding pills, cutting things out, and replacing it with metal parts and robot parts. Right. And to the point where they were missing the regeneration part. And so what happened is women left and created the wellness space. But at the time, it was called the spa place. Massage and spa. A lot of it was facial. Sure, I get that. But a lot of it actually was wellness. This is where breath work started to come out. This is where they started to reintroduce a lot of these yoga, a lot of these movements, because they wanted women to feel healthier and well and create the wellness space. And so now today, what I see is Western medicine is masculine medicine, meaning I can fix you. I know how to fix your body because I learn all the parts, and but in Western medicine, you have jurisdiction. I have the heart. If you want to talk to the lung guy, talk to the lung guy, because I don't deal with the heart and the lungs.
Right.
And then wellness, what's happened is it's the holistic space. You are the person we're healing. You're not the organs we're healing. You're the person, right? So this is where breath work, nutrition, and food is medicine. This is where the whole sauna thing came out of it, on top of cold plunges came out of it. Doctors aren't doing cold plunges or saunas.
Right.
It's the wellness space doing that. Why? Because it regenerates you through the elements within. That's why today red light therapy, right, is fire. You're using fire, light again. That element to power your ability. Basically, it's the sun, y'all. Like, it's the sun. We just can't get to the sun, so we just use a little bit of the sun, called the red light therapy, right? Sunrise, sunset is red light therapy, right? And then we went to cold plunge, right, which is cold water. And then we went to saunas, hot temperature, right? Cold, hot.
Steam, or like, is that air?
Steam. And then you have also grounding. People were grounding and walking on nature again. And so wellness spaces and retreat centers started to actually bring back nature, right? Wellness space. And so now suddenly there's all these women in this space. People are healing. I'm coming to this space because I know it's the healing. It's where the entire indigenous, both Ayurveda, indigenous practices, native practices, African practices, all of them,
Caribbean.
Chinese, Caribbean, all of it, all indigenous practices used to use the elements to heal. And that used to be called just medicine.
Yes.
Unfortunately, now you could see it's wellness is the medicine of the ancients. And then today's modern science has taken over what you call Western medicine.
Right.
And so a lot of times people are like, yeah, but without Western medicine, we would die. Yeah, but most of you guys come because you're on death's door. So you need someone to intervene.
Right.
In wellness, no. Every day you should be going to wellness to heal. It's not to wait until you're at the death's door that you should be coming to
Come
heal.
on.
If you're stressed right now,
get some ginger.
You should get healed.
Yeah,
versus
right now.
We're like, in Western medicine, they go, oh, he's just stressed. Even don't get me started. There's doctors who actually look at women problems, right? Women menstruation and all that, and they go, oh, it's just called WW. What? Whiny woman syndrome.
What?
Because it's a guy who's telling you how you should be feeling in your body.
How dare they say this to us? Women, I got us. How dare they?
But
I've never heard of this.
But that's why you guys left. That's why you guys left medicine, and you guys all went to wellness.
It's because all of the testing on the structure in just like recent textbook and medical history was on the white male.
Yes.
The white male is on a black woman, an Asian man, it's just one prototype. And that's why I was saying I love your approach of individualized. Not everyone is one thing. And I want to say it's so powerful that you lead with astrology. Today, my mother, she just said, we were talking about someone and she was like, do you know his sign? Or when's his birthday? And I was like, I don't. And she's like, you should ask, you should find out. And then you should ask Charlie. And I laughed because I was like, my mother knows, but it's so true. You've always, but it's not about being on or off, but if you can get someone's sun, moon, rising, or anything in their chart, you start to tell me more about aspects of their personality. I already see, it's pattern recognition. So elementally, when you tell me you're an Aries, so it's fire, and if you burn too hot too long, you like a wok and water in it, it turns in or it evaporates and then it turns into crystals, and then from there, I was having some pain, and you're like, well, how many oils are you getting? Omega-3s and olive oil, and at the time 0. And so, anyways, you were able to show me per diet, per my elements, per my chart, what is for me. And people like my mother, who just has met you the one time, knows that you have more insight into it. So I just want to congratulate you or give you some praise for all the work that you're doing, because you didn't start the work yesterday of reading the stars or getting into astrology, but it shows, and your wealth of knowledge is really powerful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. It's always been tough just because people see you as the ADHD kid, right?
No, that was you.
Well,
with balance.
I was
to it.
functionally
Of
ADHD.
course. But you were building the energy to seek out this information,
Yes.
right? Me as a chef.
Yes.
She's just so busybody. They wanted to, of course, but I would always say I'm at a high vibration and frequency. That's just it. Maybe it's not the average or common, but for me, it's my normal, and I embrace it, and I create so much with it. So how dare you say it's less than or not good enough or too distracted? In my distraction, I am so focused and know exactly how I want to do or create. And what I'm saying is, it was so advantageous to have this mindset as a chef, because I gotta have cake charcuterie with goat cheese ganache and fresh figs that
Yes,
right. I was
so good.
building that versus people saying well, it's vanilla cake with vanilla buttercream.
Yes. The normalization is a disease.
Say it again.
Normalization is the disease.
Can we breathe? One thing I want to add before you continue in that vein is what is best is rarely, or what is the most popular is never the best, and what is the best is almost never popular.
Yeah. And I think normalization is also mainstreaming something, right? So how we talk about yoga became mainstream, then they normalized yoga. And so, same thing that we're doing with Chinese medicine, but same thing they did with medicine, right? They normalize it into what I call,
taught me.
because this is also, in our studies, normalization is your control of a studies.
Of a constant,
A constant. Right? You need a constant. You need to normalize it.
Yeah.
And then what you're looking for is any kind of fluctuation
right.
of patterns. And so what happened is, because they want to keep normalizing it, this is where, it's going to get very, this is going to be very edgy, but that's because that's where we're at today. When you normalize things, you actually take away the great differences that makes us powerful.
And great,
right? Normalization is basically taking the mainstream group. Let's say we talk about the white what I call low melanated people, right? Okay. And they chose to say, hey, this is the normalization of our medicine. And so everybody who doesn't fit in this normalization of our medicine is broken. Right. And so now if you were to kind of look at medicine and say all the diseases that come in medicine happen to all minorities. And you're like, that's because you normalize medicine to you, the lightly melanated people, and then you made everybody else be a disease. So us who have more melanin and we can handle the sun, right? Oh, you must have skin cancer. No, we don't. You guys who normalize skin cancer, who can't be out in the sun all day long, normalize skin cancer. We didn't normalize skin cancer. We don't have skin cancer.
Wow.
So because you told us that if we don't use sunscreen on our dark colored skin, and I change color depending on the temperature, the weather. And so I always find if I'm really white in winter, I go out in the sun a lot more to try to pick up some of that vitamin D. But this idea that like even the concept of Bill Gates wanting to block out the sun, he normalized himself to be the center of medicine and told everybody that like the sun is bad for us because it's bad for me.
Wow. And then they create medicine, sunscreen, FPSP, with carcinogenics that are going to kill that. The reason why it's bad or toxic, it stops your skin from feeling the sun.
Yes, exactly. So suddenly now we all have vitamin D deficiency because we're all wearing sunscreen.
Jeez. And then we're in 4 walls all day, every day.
In
Ay,
an
Dios
air-conditioned room.
Jeez, get me out of here.
It's funny. One of the major therapies that we use is called sweating. Right. And when you sweat,
Sauna,
you call
lymphatic.
you're sweating out the toxins and disease, right?
Yeah, even with the flu,
But it's very
getting it out.
difficult to sweat in air-conditioned space.
Of course.
So what happens is when people pick up diseases in air-conditioned space, because why? Because air conditioning is just reconditioning air, the same nasty air that we are all breathing because somebody probably coughed in that air.
Wow.
And if you don't have a good filter, that air is just rotating. And so now you're just all breathing the same air, stagnant air, not breath work, right? Because naturally what? Plants gives us better oxygen. So if you don't have plants, right? That's why plants is giving us oxygen.
Can you imagine? We should do a study. Putting sunscreen on plants. Good. Chlorophyll. Tell me, how does it work? Photosynthesis. Tell me.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, what? And we're plants is the thing.
Exactly.
Good.
So this is where I think, even the word ADHD is to normalize people who actually aren't able to think in what I call parallel processes. Like when people say like, oh, you think too many things. Like, no, you only know how to think one thing at a time. Right? Sure, I get that focus. Sure, meditation. Sure, meditation, focus on one thing. Sure, but you could parallel meditation.
But you always say, it's not about meditation. Meditation, the monk.
It's awareness.
No. Meditate when it's anger, when it doesn't call for meditation and you don't want to. Like, it's not just about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So this is again like we called it meditation to understand what it's doing.
Right.
But actually meditation was a normal thing we were doing all the time.
Right.
Right. So breath work
is to realign.
Is only a breath work today, but it was just regular breathing to our ancestors.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at today is everything that was actually normal and medicine to our ancestors were considered taboo here because they wanted to normalize everybody to be the same concept of person so that every disease you address is the disease that you're addressing, not the person.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why medicine really removed the person out of the experience. And that's why half the time, not half, I'm going to say it, 100% of the time that my patients come to me and I sat there and I listened to them for at least 10 minutes, they'll go, thank you for listening to me. And I go, wow, this should be a minimum expectation of your doctor. To go, no, I've never had a doctor listen to me more than 10 minutes. I was like, how are they ever going to even look at you in, and see
in a serious,
the
deep
imbalances with
matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, this is why like the idea of sending references from one specialist to the next, and you what I call the specialist roundabout that goes on in medicine, because you're like, oh well, the disease is actually in the liver. No, 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 no. This disease actually in this and that, and so you run around all these people who are
Yeah.
specialists.
Yes.
You never get an answer of
You
your
never.
disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I found that women especially struggle with this, like doctors not listening. And then it's like, I go to this specialist, all these bills, and then it came back inconclusive. And it's like,
And then to tell you something asinine, like for me, they're like, just go lose some more weight. I'm like, I don't have much to lose. So I don't understand how that even comes up. I
wow.
basically, they said I had fatty lipids, fatty liver cells, right?
Really?
Fatty liver cells is what they called it. And they said, yeah, that only shows up in people who are 400 pounds and over. And I looked at them, at the time I was only 185. I was like, so you have no idea what
What this is.
that's going on to me.
And you're
And he
yeah,
said, no, I don't. I'm like, oh, great. So your specialty means nothing.
a thing.
And he's like, so what's your opinion? What? Oh, just go lose 10 pounds and come back and see. That's your solution to my problem today?
So what is it when you go to seek medicine and what is given is not medicine? What do you call that?
Fraud?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, we
Oh,
can't
wait.
use these special effects. We have to figure out why these special effects aren't working.
Fraud.
So I'm gonna say this with the asterisks here. I'm not
Asterisk.
calling everybody a fraud. I'm
No.
not calling the entire medical program a fraud. I'm just saying that I call it more like it's an abusive relationship.
Stockholm.
You don't know, yes, Stockholm. You don't know who's abusing you in the system, but we have normalized abuse by doctors in your hospital system that I had too many people come in and say, I have like 20 side effects, but what can you, an acupuncturist, do? I'm like, okay, let me try at least, and I usually tell them you need at least like 6 sessions sometimes. You're not gonna get fixed of a 20-year chronic problem in one sitting, right? So say, look, couple sessions, let's do it. I'll go 2 or 3 sessions, go, doc, you made me feel better, but like it's not getting better like faster. And well, I need to like get better. So like I think I'm just gonna go back to the Western medicine. I'm like, oh, but I thought you told me you didn't want all these side effects. Yeah, but at least like
It goes
I
quicker.
can go to work and not feel this problem. So ironically,
Eee.
what happened is they want to keep going back to the place of abuse
Abuse.
to continue getting abused because that's normalized to them,
They're familiar with it.
right? They were normalized again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Normalization is a giant slap in the face to what I call spirit.
Yes.
Spirit is the most multi-diverse. Spirit is the first DEI, okay?
Come on.
Come on. Like diversity
Spirit.
is what makes spirit.
It's
So when
spirit.
we are normalizing spirit, we're kind of like saying, hey, spirit, I don't like all the fancy stuff you like. And you just be like vanilla for me
Exactly.
so I could understand it.
And how boring. Wait, I love vanilla. Vanilla bean,
I know.
Madagascar.
I
Vanilla
love
is
vanilla
that
bean.
girl.
Vanilla bean and French vanilla.
Mex-
But let's
Mexican
not talk
vanilla. I could go all day. The point is, yes, don't wash out spirit. Baby bathwater, come on.
Exactly.
Hold on.
Yes.
And something I want to mention is we always talk Western medicine. Charlie, and you said it casually and you kept going. Eastern medicine. Can we talk about the East? Places, medicine. I like it is new to my consciousness. So can you even just incorporate this in the next?
Yeah. This is also another loaded question, unfortunately. This is not the Eastern
yes.
philosophies and medicines of our ancestors. We are also, so like, to me, Western culture is considered Hellenistic in root. Greeks. The Greeks and the four humors, Socrates, Plato's, and the greats of the ancients. And then the Romans showed up and fucked shit up, okay? Still fucking shit up. They're called the Roman Catholic Church. I said it. Let's move on.
Ooh.
So it's spiritual medicine at being attacked here, and so Greek Western medicine was ruined by what I call the Roman Catholic Church that really wanted to kind of put their hands in state You know, they call it state and church were split. No, that's because church wanted to hide the fact that it was controlling state. And so what's happened today is the Western culture is basically a bastardized version of the Greeks because it took the spirit out and became corporatized. And now we're living in that kind of like post-colonial systems of the West. The East is not safe from that either. The East experienced communism. Actually, the East also started with the Russians. The Russians were brilliant. They were like these beautiful Christian groups, but they were, during the Romanovs, they were overtaken by the communists. And so the communist and Bolshevik revolution kind of took over their culture. And then that culture eventually came to China, right? So we know as China to be this communist party. And then by history, the Vietnam group also got attacked with the communism, right? Today, I wouldn't say it is the height of communism. I think it was just like a vaccine of communism that hit them. So a smaller version of communism. So that's why now we're experiencing that post-colonialism Vietnam, where before, I mean, this granted, Vietnam hasn't been necessarily free for a long time because it had French colonialism before the communism. So multiple groups have really infiltrated our ancestors to really kind of remove a lot of our spiritual medicine, a lot of our mental, and a lot of our emotional medicine. So now today we're only experiencing physical medicines, which matches the West now, which is physical medicine, not mental medicine, which should be therapy. Right? Not emotional medicine, which should be drum circles and community therapy. And then not spiritual therapy, which is in community, connected to nature, connected to all prayers and rituals. And so today our culture is so removed from all these concepts of our mind, body, emotional, spirit. And so the West is kind of playing out this whole, and I feel like this West is really preparing to turn us into robots. You know, the Industrial Revolution was the preparation of the automation of all our systems so that today we could remove the human experience out of, creating anything. Manufacturing is the power of God. It's the power of creation.
Breathe. The Ford car assembly line.
Yes. So the assembly line did bring,
Power.
power to our
Horsepower.
country because we really did blow up during that time where we were able to really build things, right? But again, we were already hijacked by the West. The West has been already kind of like in this downturn. We talk about this where these ancient civilizations were like perfect. And then now we just get worse and worse and worse. So Eastern philosophy is way more based on what we call the Tao, right? So Taoism goes even beyond Buddhism. I think a lot of people like to say they're different religion. They're the same, similar religion. Sorry, not religion, spiritual concepts. None of them are religion, right? So it's a path to follow. This is this path for the spirit to follow. In Taoist tradition, there's no bad or good. Everything is neutral. Everything is spirit. It is the Tao. It is it. And then Buddhism chose to go, hey, I want a particular way of using spirit and to follow Siddhartha Gautama, his version of enlightenment. So that's why we created Buddhism. And Buddhism is one way that he used a great spirit master who came in and say, here's how you actually take Taoism and now use it a lot more specifically. And so Buddhism created these rules and these laws to allow you to cultivate your spiritual energy. Not bad, not good versions for Eastern people. And Buddhism were spread throughout Asia, and that created multiple sects of Zen Buddhism, different Maitreya Buddhism, all of it. But Taoism is still the original, like, indigenous culture of the people. Same thing as when you look at even natives, right? The people, the natives, that was their culture. But today, when you see, like, you use the Orishas or all that, then it becomes a lot more religious, right? Because it goes from spirit of everything to spirit of these beings that you consider gods, right? Even Egyptians, it was a path of death by Anubis, and it became the god of death, Anubis. It was only called the path of death to teach us what it would take to understand death so
Yeah.
that we could live.
Wow.
And so, you know, even in the Book of the Dead by the Tibetans, right? It was just ways to practice certain things so that when people pass, you know how to kind of process that.
Yeah.
But that then was like overtaken. And now, you know, you could argue that like people are using some of these to actually trap ghosts here, right? Different tangent. We'll
For
go
sure.
on. For
I just
want
want to add this because I want to hear what you think about it. Yesterday, I heard someone say that I was greeted with the mistress. It was in Spanish. The mistress and the, not Grim Reaper, the mistress and like
Death God?
Death God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just thinking Day of the Dead is another culture of like
Yes,
remembering.
exactly.
Yeah.
During Halloween, which is Scorpio. And that's why Scorpio in the 8th house understands spirits.
Of course.
Which is I'm transiting, and that's why my father passed during my transit in the 8th house, because he has become my spirit guide on the other side, because he transitioned during my 8th house, which is my version of a Hallows Eve in my chart.
And I met you the day before this happened.
Yes, you did.
I know.
You did.
And I
Yes.
felt the
Yeah.
coming together with you and I on that day.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, powerful time.
So just, you know, because we're getting close to the end of our show, Eastern philosophy really was always very spiritual because, you know, I don't want to go into another tangent, but I really believe that there are 4 races. 4 races represents 4 elements, right? The blacks were water, the whites were fire. Okay, if you pay attention to the technology they brought into the civilization, you could see why, right? Because who brought the engine made of fire? The whites, right? Who understand blood magic and blood rituals? The blacks, right? Because the blood and then the sickle cell. I don't think sickle cell is a bad thing. I think sickle cell was another adaptation of things. But anyways, the reds were considered the natives. They were the people of the land who still work in our landscape, right? The natives. We call them Mexicans today, but they're the Mexica clan. They're the natives. So the natives today are the red people who are still in charge of the land. Who's in charge of air signs, the air quality? The Asians, the yellow people. Why? Because who brought breath work? Wow. Here.
And then the 4 humors. How does this coincide?
So the 4 humors,
Go.
the 4 elements in Western is basically the 4 liquids. So there are 4 liquids. There's spittle, which is clear, which is water. There is poop, which is black, bile, right? Earth. Red is fire, which is blood. And yellow, which is urine, which is the last one, air.
Air.
Is that the last one?
Air.
Yeah.
Air.
So those 4 elements represented the 4 humors. And so actually Greeks look at those 4 things and say, how's your blood? How's your urine? How's your bowel? And how's your spittle? Guess what? I always ask those questions as Chinese medicine to know what's going on internally. So I know that your spittle, your blood, your urine, and your poop will tell me how things are working internally.
Wow.
Right? So we're all doing the same medicines as indigenous people, but today modern science has overtaken
Yes.
what is medicine.
And why is it so? That's the control. Once you're in control of your body and you wake up and, oh God, look at your poop, right? We start wiping babies' bottoms and then we start wiping our own and then we don't look. And the reason I'm saying this is, why is it poop, pee, spit, and blood are so yucked? Like, it's like, ew, you're bleeding. Oh, you're gonna spit on that person or that thing? Oh my gosh, that's your poop. And like, don't pee on me. Like, why is it so loaded when these are the necessary and essential elements that tell us about ourselves? Why are they so shunned and indoctrinated, or I guess micromanaged, it feels?
It's the same thing as we have to go back to history because this is what we call Stockholm syndrome over generations.
Oh no,
right?
generational.
Did you know at one point during the Dark Ages that Europeans were afraid of water, and that's why they didn't bathe?
No.
Because they thought water was witchcraft.
Wow.
And witchy and demonic.
Because they felt the energy of memory of water.
No, just someone was basically telling them, and then the witches were attacked. So the witches weren't going to tell them that water is power, water is cleansing
Cleansing.
and purifying.
Sure.
So what happened? No one took a shower. No one cleansed themselves. That's why the eau de toilette, the perfumes were invented during the European days because they all stank.
And then the bidet.
And they needed something to smell better, but they were afraid of water. And that's where the bubonic plague and the rats and all the diseases came after, because they killed all the witches. You know? And so, again, this is not a small, fix healing thing over time. One generation is suddenly going to remember everything and fix everything. We have to do what they did to us, is basically retrain our generations to start seeing all this medicine as intuitive, rather than having these thousands of page books to teach people how to be healthy.
Yeah.
None of them had books to know how to be healthy. Our parents knew how to do certain treatments for us as kids to make sure that we were healthy. And they didn't become doctors. They just knew, that's why we call them, at-home remedies.
Yeah.
So most of your, emergency remedies were all at home first. And it wasn't until like you cut your leg that you needed professional help. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where, we take out the mother, you take out all of these great ancestors in the home space, throw them in homes, and then you wonder why nobody has any access to real organic natural medicines for our ancestors, and you have to now go and outsource to people in white coats. So, this we're gonna keep kind of unfolding this conversation. I think it's very important that we have this deeper relationship with like where we're at today, but not to get angry, because I'm not here to go, everybody, let's go and like protest and like and blow up hospitals.
How
That's
does that
obviously
help?
not going to help. Yeah,
Right.
that doesn't do anything. Well, that's why like the healthcare revolution is self-healing. When we heal ourselves, the revolution is happening, right? So usually a lot of times when people come to me and say, look, I'm not healing you, I'm allowing your body to actually use its natural healing talents.
And this is why I love your scope of your practice. You said acupuncture. You didn't say overnight you are completely healed and the chronic fatigue and pain you're experiencing. You said maybe 6 sessions. That is healing in itself, because that means you understand rest is medicine, time is medicine, giving the body time to acclimatize, adjust, and if more pain or discomfort
The
comes up.
integration phase. Yes.
Integration. Can we breathe? I can say this from the birth room. The one thing Western medicine is missing is integration.
Yes.
It's not a prescription. It's overlooked. It's not talked about. And it's what holds us back. It doesn't matter the pill worked or not. Can you get your body off of it? Can you have lifestyle changes, diet changes, exercise changes, fluid changes so you can maintain it? Or do you feel like after you're born, you have to self-rely on something man-made in order to live a full life? I disagree.
Exactly.
Don't agree with that.
Exactly. So as we're nearing the end of our show here, I love to kind of pose a question to our audience, right?
Yes.
I would love to kind of hear some of your own stories where you found that a simple at-home remedy, a mother's or father's remedy of like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, and when it's hot, do this, right?
Yeah.
That worked better than actually getting a prescription, going to the doctor. Because I think that's the remembrance, right?
Yes.
That's the remembrance of medicine in our hands. It's always been in our hands. We just have to trust that our body is more intuitive and it's talking to us all the time.
All the time.
All the time. That's why we look at tongues, right? Because the tongue tells us a lot. Your eyes tells us a lot. Your ears. That's why we're always constantly looking at the face to see what's happening. That's why makeup's terrible for diagnosis.
Wow.
Right? Because you're hiding a lot of the sickness that's coming off at your face to let people know, yourself specifically know, you're probably sick because this is coming up, right? So That's again, we'll go deeper, continue to go deeper in our weekly show here. We're really excited to continue the conversation, but really, again, we're here for audience participation. We want to know more of what you guys are experiencing here in Houston. We are, I'm gonna say it, we are in Houston, the biggest medical mafia of the planet. And so for us to kind of really have a revolution of healthcare, I feel like
Yes.
we as healers who hold space for people need to come together
Yeah.
to show that like we're just as big as a hospital
Mm.
and we're not afraid to actually stand our grounds with our ancestors behind us
Mm.
for many lifetimes. All of us are here because of our ancestors.
Period.
Let's be real. All of us are here before our ancestors. None of it has to do with modern science, okay?
That's it.
Because even before that, my grandma who came to America wasn't using modern science to be 100 years old and to die, right? And so when we think about that, we're not that far away from our ancestors who were using none of modern medicine
Yeah.
and was using only the medicine of nature and
Yes.
their heritage and their genetics
Yeah.
that we cultivated over time.
And speaking of that, I'd like to share, it's an audience question. I want to hear your remedies, whether it's steaming or how do you guys use the elements and what do you do in the elements? And one I want to share, well, it was just cool because I experienced it with you, was our Aztec Bezonite clay
Yeah.
mask moment camping, and how beautiful it was to see everyone mixing their own clay, putting it on, letting it sun dry, and then like washing it off. But that felt really good, and it was so cool to be with people who facilitate space, taking time for us to care about our dermis, our skin, and how much our skin protects, holds, cleans, and from the elements. So that was one I want to share. If you can, do a clay face mask or a body mask.
Exactly. Thank you for that. That was awesome. That was fun to do
You're
it,
welcome.
out in nature like that. So again, thank you all for joining us in our weekly show. We'll be back next week again to go deeper into, the medicine from our hands. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. We had a blast. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, things you'd like to talk about with us, or subjects, matters you'd like us to bring up, leave a note for us in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. Charlie, thank you for your time. Beautiful audience, thanks for being here. From our hands to you, we love you.
Yay.
Should I gong us out? All right. Let's take a deep breath together. Hold. And let it go. Until next time.